shops don't like that, especially busy shops.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
If
you got a guy, if you got a guy that's willing to work with you like that has the space or has the time, that's one thing. But for the most part, they want their job to go as seamlessly as possible.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you, we're going to take another quick break, Joe, and I tell you, there's one way that people can get a lot of help with what to put in those cars, and that's if you have car club ties.
Yes.
And if you like Dennis and Brian Wilson, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So keep it where you got it on Motor Mouth Radio. Joe and Ray will be back in a few minutes.
Have you seen DJ Solero?
No, why?
Well, he was supposed to be here right now to tell everyone about his show, The Rare Groove Session, but I can't find him anywhere.
I'll keep my eyes peeled. Maybe he went to get something to eat.
Food? He went to get food? I mean, who can eat at a time like this?
Relax. I'm sure everyone will figure out when they can listen to the most incredible music from the 60s and 70s that they may have not heard before.
But what if they can't? What if they never figure out when the Rare Groove Session is on? What happens then, huh? I don't want to live in a world where no one knows about the Rare Groove Session.
Hey guys, ready to tell everyone about RGS?
DJ Solero, where the have you been?
I was getting something to eat.
How can you eat at a time like this?
What are you talking about?
Don't mind her. Go ahead. Tell everyone when to listen.
Okay then. If you're looking to hear some mind-blowing music, check out the Rare Groove Session Friday nights at midnight on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Is this really the most interesting thing on the radio right now?
Not anymore.
What's happening?
FM Punk, that's what's happening.
Who are you exactly?
I'm Riley Hogan, the host of FM Punk.
Riley Hogan?
I'm too anti-conformist for a cool DJ name. Tune in to FM Punk for blistering punk rock fury. Everything from Ramones to Gorilla Biscuits to Moss Icon to Nails. I play whatever I want. So whether you're into grindcore or old school emo, there's something here for you.
That's cool and all, but what are you doing in my car?
What aren't I doing in your car?
Stop that.
FM Punk, Thursday nights at 11 on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
All right, not harmonizing quite as well as these guys are, but you are back with Motor Mouth Radio. Your host, Ray Guarino. Joe D stepped out for a second, so we'll listen to the... I hear the door opening now. And he's back. So, Joe, good to see you. We are back. More Motor Mouth Radio. Waiting for our guest on the West Coast, which I guess he's had.
Guest from the West, yes.
I guess he's got some issues, so we're just kind of freewheeling and winging it is what we're up to today.
Yeah, I mean, just go back to that Resto-Mod thing a little bit there.
Yeah, I think we're done with that.
Yeah, I have this one guy that I work on his GTO, 68 GTO.
Yes.
And he has a number of aftermarket components that he put in it. And he has a nice stack of the various instruction sheets and, just paperwork.
Save your documentation.
Yes, he keeps them in a nice little, plastic bag in a box in the trunk when I get the car.
I'll give you a good example.
Which is a godsend.
Yeah. Last week I showed you that rear upper control arm that snapped on me in my car. Mm-hmm. And I knew where I bought it. It was from a company in Pennsylvania. And what I did is when I got home, I found the 2-inch thick folder. And the hardest part was kind of figuring out where it was. I knew it was going to be in the beginning. It was the first part I had bought for the car. Found the original receipt. And when I called them and told them what happened, they said, okay, listen, let me just get your name so I could find your customer number, your order number. I said, oh, would you like it? I can give it to you. And he says, you can? I'm like, yeah, I have the receipt in front of me. He's like, wow, that's great. Made his job a little easier. Now all he had to do was punch the number in directly. He says, oh, yeah, you're Ray Guarino. Okay, we got you. Yeah, you bought this stuff. So, so again, it just made it. He could have found it, but now if people archive their records or don't, every so many years or whatever, they archive them and they go into like the dusty bin in the basement, so to speak.
Right.
Other drive on the server, maybe.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not easily accessible. So yeah, the more help you can give to the guy working on your car or who you need to get parts from or replaced from, it always makes it go a little easier.
Absolutely, because these days with computers, they have a lot of ways of tracking, who you are, what you bought, whatever. And if you work with them, rather than giving them like the last 3 letters of your last name and what day of the week you were born, if you just give them what they ask you, the system will work pretty good for you.
And of course, coming from the one of the job responsibilities that you have and have had over the years, you know how important that is.
Oh, yes, because, when you're trying to play, that's another time where you play 20 questions.
Yeah. What part's in the car? Your part! Well, what's the matter with it? It don't work! Can you be a little more vague, sir? And it's like then...
Yeah, I've copied you on a couple of my emails.
Yes, you have.
So it can be interesting.
It always takes me back because I've done some kind of stuff like that, some work like that, and it's always it's a very sympathetic ear when you see somebody else having to go through the rumination and the trail of trying to find the information and not let your irritation show.
Ah, yes, the irritation level.
Yeah, which, let's face it, I mean, people can really tick you off when they do stupid things, say stupid things, or try to hide things that, they're trying to get one over on you. Like, hey, it's a big company, they can afford it.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure, and they want to help. The guy on the other end of the phone wants to help, more than likely. The harder you make it for him, then the next thing, the harder you make it for yourself is what happens.
Yeah.
And if you get to a certain point, then that guy's going to just clam up.
Right.
But it's like, sorry, can't help you, because I need this, this, and this, and call me back when you got it, and then have a nice day.
And you do tend to give people more information than the average bear would on a customer service line. Because you have the service slant and you know what it's like to work on the cars, you have that other layer of knowledge.
Yeah, because I know what it's like to be the parts guy to get yelled at. I know what it's like to be the mechanic in the bay, trying to make heads or tails of this.
And a consumer who's in his driveway who's just stuck.
Yep. So, and a lot of customer service guys, from other companies are like that as well. You know what I mean? So, as a rule, that's the type of person they tend to stick in that position.
Unlike the guy I had on the line at Edelbrock when I was calling to diagnose some carburetor issues I have on my Pontiac, and it was with the RPM and the cruise ratio, cruise speeds with the 5-speed, and I gave him very detailed data and numbers of what was going on.
You are so detailed it's scary sometimes, right?
And again, I figured, give the guy what'll help, right? And even with all that, he said, well, gee, I have a 5-speed behind my big block. I'm not having any problems. I'm like, okay.
Well, we're very happy for you.
Yeah, well, you know what? Are you keyed? So now I'm thinking, all right, are we keyed into the same issues? Do you notice the same things? Like maybe you don't even... maybe it's not an issue because you're oblivious, you moron.
Yeah, so that could be too, yeah.
But I still need this guy to help me, so I'm trying to be nice to him. So it was almost like a reverse situation.
Sure.
And I found that when I get in situations like that, I don't know what it's from. I think it's a melding of things I've done in my life. I tend to not take over the situation, but it's like I've told my kids.
You step up. Step up
and like, you know what? Show what you know, but not in a bragging kind of way. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying. Just show that you're not the box of rocks that's the average customer per se. And like I said, give the guy facts and figures and data, right. And then say, let's talk about that.
Right. Well, I know that one of the things that I end up doing a lot of times is I'll ask some pretty basic, almost like duh questions, and I could hear the guy on the other side of the phone who happens to be, a skilled mechanic, what I mean? And then I get the 3-minute tirade. I am an ASC triple master, and I have a degree from MIT. Dude, I don't know the way how you answer that question, whether you are a box of rocks or you are, Tony Stark. You know what I mean? So
right.
So I have to ask a couple kind of probing questions to see which way I'm going to carry the conversation.
Okay, is the car blue? No, it's green. All right. And then what was the pit again? And it piddled on the floor. Yeah, there's a leak too. That's another problem. Can you help me with that? No.
No, we don't do leaks.
Yeah. So those conversations can go many different ways. But
sure. I mean, but that's one thing. You want to have a level of respect with the.
Sure.
But you want to establish it between the guy you're talking to and him to you. Because this way, you don't want to sound like some idiot reading from a script.
Well, yeah, and here's
which can happen.
One of my thoughts is, and this is what I do when I'm calling for help. The question is, how do you establish that relationship? And one of the things I like to do, like I said, you don't want to brag. You don't want to say, "Hey, I was doing this before you were in grade school, kid." You don't want to do that. But what I like to do is I like to use a certain language and nomenclatures and terms that show. the level of buy-in.
Right. It's not the gas thingy. The gas squirting thingy? Yeah, right. No, that doesn't.
Exactly. And now the guy on the other end of the line, or the girl on the other line, knows, okay, this person at least knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's working with. So now you can go for it. Kind of like, it's almost like a Rubik's Cube. It kind of sets the blocks in motion to be, to get to that final outcome.
Sure, you have to establish a rapport. You know what I mean? Because, no matter, that's kind of any customer relationship.
How many times have you had it where the guy calls you and then you're asking some questions, he's like, oh, hold on, and he's got another phone call.
Right.
Or he's doing something else like, hey, listen, can we just focus on this for a few minutes?
Yeah. You see, that's another thing, though. I've actually run across that quite a bit. And pretty much, where I am, I have, I have time. You know what I mean? Like, in other words, I'm yours now for the duration of this phone call.
I usually never hear you say that, those three words.
That's because
I have time. Those aren't in your lexicon.
I know, right? That's very hard to. That's like I am tall. It doesn't
because I'm at work. There you go. That's a good.
Yeah, but when you call in, I'm yours for the duration of whatever it takes to fix your problem. And
let me ask you a question on that, just to interject. When you do things like that, are there prescribed limits of time that you're supposed to spend or not supposed to spend with customers?
Yeah, it pretty much ends when I have to pee.
Oh, okay. So it's an open-ended. Well, so then it's about 5 minutes. But it is open-ended.
Yeah, well, pretty much. No, they have given me kind of carte blanche with that. In other words, it's like, help the guy out.
What about other people that do the same thing? Are they restricted?
The guys that are a level below me, and by that, it's just the way that the calls come in, they have to restrict their call time because they have to keep running. They have to keep running things. They don't want the waiting time on hold.
Got it.
Usually, I call people back. So it's not like it's not the kind of thing where like you sitting there waiting for me and music on hold type of thing.
Right.
So it's a little different as far as that goes.
Yeah.
But when I'm on the phone with you, I'm yours until we fix it.
Like I tell you before, I had a customer service call yesterday. In fact, my wife calls the house. I know she just left to go do errands, and she calls me, and I pick up the phone. I see it's a cell phone. I'm like, yeah. She says, my the traction control light was on again. She says, my satellite radio isn't initiating. We just had our daughter in the car the night before who paired her phone with it, and she goes, does that got something to do with it? I'm like, I don't know. I said, did you try, go through the different modes of radio and this and that back to satellite? I did that. It didn't work. Okay. All right. Turn the unit off, turn it back on. Let's try that. The old power thing.
Reboot.
Did that. It didn't work. I'm like, okay, well, you know what? There's nothing I can do for you because we're not in the same place. So I'll have to see you later. And she says to me, I'm out in the driveway. I was like, oh no. All right.
Well, so much for buying that amount of time.
Yeah, so I walked upstairs. I did the same things I told her, and it didn't work. So I have to find out if whatever happened with that. But yeah, sometimes you get those calls that are like, all right, let's...
Yeah, or sometimes I will have to call someone back. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I have a lot of information that's available to me on my PC or whatever. But and I have like a whole buttload of books within slight walking distance. But I can't remember everything.
I got a call yesterday. We're going to take our last break, but I got a call yesterday from our friend Vic, his friend Joe, who was that 56 Ford truck I was looking at with him last week.
Yeah.
Now they decided he bought a harness and they're rewiring it, and there was some issues that I got the call on to try it. And I felt like you because I was at the computer. I said, "Hold on," and I was finding information when there's a computer available. Wow, is it so much easier?
Yeah.
So in any event, we will take our last break, Motormouth Radio, for this Memorial Day weekend, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Keep it where you got it.
Check my custom machine.
Hey, you in the car. Yeah, you're a fan of the music of Sly Stone. I know you are. No reason to hide it. You've probably been looking for a radio program that highlights his music. Well, then look no further. Let me introduce myself. I am DJ Solero. That's Soul followed by Air and an O. Solero. Well, never mind about that. Back to what we're both here to talk about. The Sly Stone Show features the music of Sly through the various artists who have covered and sampled his music, and I'll be playing some of the original music that helped impact a generation. Come on, I know you're looking for some feel-good music. So just keep your radio right here for the Sly Stone Show. And you might want to think about